Robert James Vande Kop was born on March 20th, 1950 in Rock Rapids, Iowa. His parents are Virginia and George Vande Kop. Robert was the oldest child. He had a little brother that was 5 years younger than him named Gary. As a kid, he loved to go fishing. His favorite game to play was pinochle. His brother was 5 years younger than him, so they didn't have much to do with each other. His pets that he had were a dog and a raccoon. The dog's name was Pup, and the raccoon's name was Cooney. Sometimes the raccoon would jump on their back when they were going to school. When he was old enough to work, he had to feed cows, pigs, and chickens. Birthdays came around every year. They would have a birthday cake. Whenever there were holidays like Christmas, the family would get together. He best remembers his family trips to Colorado. At the age of 5, Robert started going to school. He first went to country school and then to town. He didn't like school. He didn't have a favorite teacher and no favorite subject. He was in FFA. As a teenager, he would have described himself as naughty. When he would have free time, he would ride around and chase girls. When he was a kid, a candy bar cost a nickel or a dime. You could have gone to the movies for $1 and get a gallon of gas for 15 to 18 cents. At the time, the president was John F. Kennedy. He met his wife on a blind date. On December 4, 1971, Robert James Vande Kop and Sue Moeller got married. Their wedding colors were black and purple. One important thing he learned through marriage is that she is always right. One important thing that he tried to pass down to his kids is to stay out of trouble. As a parent, he remembers trying to keep his kids out of trouble and going to their sporting events. They bought their first house for $2,500. His first car was a '59 Ford that cost around $800. The big music at the time was rock and roll. He remembers going to catechism and going to church Christmas parties. He likes meeting different people. Now, he loves to go fishing and go to sporting events. If he could pass one thing down to his grandkids, it would be to travel. One way his faith has influenced his life is that you should always enjoy life. He was affected when John F. Kennedy was assassinated because he was a kid at the time and the president had just been shot. He was majorly affected when the Vietnam War happened because he was drafted to go to war. He has enjoyed going to sporting events and taking his grandkids fishing. His grandkids were not much like his own kids when they were young. One thing that he wants to pass on to his grandchildren and their kids is to get more education. Some of the similarities that his grandchildren share with him is that we like to go hunting and fishing. One thing that is very different from when he was young is that life is easier. One thing he is proud of is that he has won some bowling tournaments and loved to play fast-pitch softball. His greatest accomplishment is that he is still alive. The best day of his life is today, and the worst day of his life was on the way to Vietnam. If he could have changed one thing in his life, he would have gotten a better education. One thing would keep the same is that life is good. Robert James Vande Kop has been a farm boy and been through struggles. Robert lived through the Kennedy assassination and fought in the Vietnam War. He lived through cancer and has diabetes. My grandpa is a great person and an awesome grandpa.